Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the Global Show. Today, with a special guest and a close friend of mine, Keeso. Keeso, welcome to the Global Show.
Thank you, Ben, for inviting me in. Thank you. I hope we can have an interesting conversation.
Yeah, I really hope the same, and I'm really excited to have you here. So let's talk a bit about your background, so the audience knows where you're from, and why we're talking about sustainability together today.
Okay, interesting question. My name is Keeso. I'm originally from Sudan. I'm currently living in Israel for almost 9 years. I also studied sustainability and government in IDC. Just finished this year. So yeah, and the sustainability is an important topic today, which looks into variety of the topics. So yeah, that is why we are here to discuss some of the topics.
Yeah. So when it comes to sustainability, how because you're from Sudan, I'm really interested in what Sudan is doing. I mean, you left Sudan around 9-10 years ago. So how was the situation 10 years ago to compare to like today? Did something improve, or what do you think about the current situation?
Sudan is a developing country, so it is you can say it is on low income countries. So like the country, it has a lot of resources, but those resources we have not yet been used until today. So since I was like 10 years back, for example, the region I come from, still people live in rural areas. They still live in the village. So these people technically they lack water, like they lack clean water, they lack energy, for example, like electricity, like basic human needs. So if we are talking about sustainability today, so I would argue that Sudan is still behind. Sudan is not doing enough when it comes to sustainable development goals in particular.
And why is this transition for Sudan so hard to transition to a more sustainable future?
Technically, in Sudan, like if we are talking about, like if it comes in terms of industry, it's still like we don't it's not that developed. So it's not that industrial country, and the energy they depend is conventional energy, and this is the only available resources. But apart from that, like some of the energies in Sudan, we have like a couple of small dams that were built to produce electricity. But the reason that Sudan is so behind getting to do a transition from conventional to renewable energy is people are like they are not aware with the topic itself. They don't see the negative impact of conventional energy, or still like there's no, like for example, although like in some of the universities they taught environmental studies, but technically the sustainability aspect we are given less attention.
So when you say that and there's less attention on sustainability in the country, and the country committed to the SDGs and the Sustainable Development Goals, right? So why? So do you think Sudan will reach their goals and in order to be more sustainable, or you think that they will completely fail it, or what is your opinion about it?
My opinion is like technically, if let us see first the Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, and these are the goals set by the United Nations until the 2030. And for example, I was looking up like how is Sudan doing and on the Sustainable Development report, and like in many SDGs, it is either way behind. So of course, these goals will not be met, particularly in Sudan, until like in 2030. The other argument that they also have back over there is okay. So who pollutes the world? Why the world today is there is rapid increase of the temperature? Who are the main polluters? So like in over there, people they argue that we are not the one that causing a climate change. We are not the one adding the CO2 emissions.
Yeah,
those are the industrial countries. They ruin this planet, and like it affects everybody. So yeah, this is also one of the arguments that
so
they're arguing, okay, we didn't pollute, we have the resources that still we didn't use our resources, for example, like minerals, we didn't use it, but doing a transition to sustainability, which is mean I have to, if it is in terms of energy, I have to depend on more renewable energy, not to pollute. But still, I have resources. I have petroleum. I have this kind of resources underground I didn't use. So I'm just going to just keep it up, or what will be? Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So basically, when it comes to Sudan, basically their opinion is that they didn't contribute a lot to a lot of climate change parts. I mean, for them to improve some of the SDGs, to improve their infrastructure, something that would be as an advantage for Sudan, right? I mean, they see?
Totally.
So do they see the whole spectrum as a disadvantage, or they only look at the climate question as saying, no, this is not our responsibility? And what would they actually say? What should the industrial countries? What should they do? Like, what would be their opinion? Are they going to these countries and saying, "Hey, help us," or they're just saying it's your problem or your responsibility, or how is that? Like openly in the world. I'm not saying if theoretically, but did they openly say these things?
Generally, yeah. One of the things they see is to do a transition, this transition requires the country to be financially stable. Like you need to be economically strong to move to this transition, because you need a technology. For example, like if we are talking about one example. If we are talking about solar, so if you want to do a transition, you need to invest money on bringing solar panels. You need a human capital to come and do the all installation process. But you have already the the traditional convention energy that's already in place, and the country economically, it needs to invest this money either on infrastructure to provide a basic needs, for example, like education, like water, do the roads and all this kind of things, the human basic needs. And at the same time, it requires to invest this money on doing that transition. So they found it's harder, it's harder unless there is some of the support being toward these developing countries to do that transition, because for these countries it's hard, and if we are talking about industrial countries, they are already developed. They are doing well in terms of infrastructure. They have the technology, they have the human capital, and for them to do those transitions is pretty easy. But also, one of the things that also holding back, for example, like my country, it's also like a political instability, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
I hope I answered that question.
No, it's all good. No, it's I think it's just really interesting to look at the SDGs not only from a perspective from the Western world, but also, or from the global North, but also from countries from the global South, and to see how different countries are doing different things. So, and are there like some? I mean, we always talk, when it comes to the SDGs, there's a lot of entrepreneurship involved and innovation. So is there something happening in Sudan, in universities or in the entrepreneurship scene, that there are entrepreneurs coming out and they have innovative ideas to help people in rural areas, for example? Or is there not a lot of initiatives when it comes to such projects?
Good question. Actually, I need to check more on that, like what are the already existing initiatives. But one of the things that in Sudan is the UNICEF. It's a UN organization that does, for example, does a lot on clean water and sanitation. And actually, one of their reports, they said that, I think that was the report, if I remember correctly, was the report of 2015, that over something like 11% of, there is over 11% of the child deaths in Sudan caused by diarrhea, and that is mainly because of the poor sanitation, and hygiene. And also they stated that 2 million children suffer from severe malnutrition. And what UNICEF does is they're educating people in the villages, in the remote area from the capital, about about the sanitations. They're also like providing vaccines regarding when it comes to the children. And also like one of the government project also they do is they do vaccination, and also they want to alleviate the problem of open defections. It's very common in the rural area. These are the issues that still they're working on.
Okay, how is it with with Sudan? Like you talk about UNICEF, are these people there welcomed really well in Sudan, and people are happy about getting this help and vaccination? And I mean, now in the global north, we have all these conspiracy theories with vaccines and everything. But how are people reacting in Sudan to these kind of? I mean, these are kind of offers from the global north for the global south to help them develop themselves or have a better health or more benefits, or in general better human health. So how's that help kind of like, do people really love or enjoy having these organizations in Sudan, or they're not really convinced about it?
There is many ways of finding this. There is multiple way of receiving this kind of initiative, or the organization that provides these initiatives. For example, like people in the rural area, because they are living in very desperate conditions in terms of basic needs. For example, like water, energy. If they perceive this organization as changing their lives, they are really hoping for this organization. Whereas, like, you have another group that they don't trust the initiative being forwarded by intergovernmental organization like UN initiatives, and also like government also they don't trust that much. Some of the argument is like this organization promotes the industrial or promotes global north ideas. Yeah.
So there is kind of mixed feelings in a way.
Yes.
Positive and okay.
There is a positivity and there is a mistrust.
Okay. I mean, when I was in India last year, it sounded kind of that these organizations working in countries from the global south, they, like you just said, apply kind of their ideologies and implement them in these countries. And yeah. I'm not sure, but what is your opinion about that? Because I feel like they are not really adapting themselves to the local level, but more get their ideologies and their technology out there to these people, even though they might not be ready or might not even be able to use this kind of technology or whatever these organizations give them. So do you think that's also the case in Sudan, that maybe these organizations should more adapt to the local level, or they're doing a good job in Sudan with that?
I think like, for example, if you want to provide any kind of help or support to the community, like in general, there are multiple things you need to consider. One of the things you need to consider is the culture itself. The culture of the people, the way they see things, and also on that decisions you need to bring in, like you need to have a public participation while you are initiating this kind of support, because you have to see what are the urgent needs of these people. And also, like, if you are coming in, you have to try and focus more on trainings, or involving also like these communities in this kind of projects, for example. Because why I'm saying that, the minute you bring in the people, local people, in certain initiatives, they learn how uh, they will experience a new skills, and technically those people these skills they can use in their local communities, and they can lift the, the problems or the challenges that they face. But one of the problems those um, most of the NGOs that help in these communities, they are coming in, they have already their designed initiative of the support, and they do by themselves, and they just needs only the what do you call it, the the people on the ground of the local communities. They are just um, hired in like lower level, like doing translation and all this kind of things, and this also can brings mixed feeling, because people they see the help they are bringing in is not enough. Like it's not reaching everybody. It's only reaching a few individuals, and that is where the criticism comes. And for example, these criticisms to be changed. Like the government, they don't, for international intergovernmental organization, what they should do is they don't they have to put this debate off table, the debate of, okay, we have to send the aids to developing countries,
Yeah.
in order for them to do the transitions. But the discussion should be why we should bring the also like people from developing countries, from the global involve them in this decision making, let them their participation, and accordingly we can see one of the best things is because the Paris. Could you correct me on that?
The Paris Agreement.
The Paris
Climate Agreement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of effective, kind of accepted by many countries, but still there is this debate going on who pollutes and who is not, and all this kind of thing. Yeah, it's complicated.
I mean, there's actually I watched now in New York City. I don't know if you heard about that. And it's a countdown how many years we have left till we cannot repair the earth anymore if we continue polluting the way we are right now. And basically it's around 7 years. So if we don't turn around in 7 years, the basically we might damage the earth to not reverse the damage we did. So yeah.
Definitely. But statistically speaking, for example, if you go out today and do the calculations, who is polluting who is ruining this planet? Who is ruining this planet? That if we did statistics on CO2 emissions on the global north, we will find it's way lower than in global what is called global north, right?
Yeah.
And also, like, you have countries like China, you have countries like United States, they are polluting like crazy, but like they are very powerful, and they are abandoning they are abandoning this kind of initiative. And so, if you are not setting an example where you are powerful, the weakers, of course, they will not follow it.
But like, if I would be a poor country, I mean, it's really easy to say, yeah, I'm not gonna do it because I didn't pollute, right? But in the end,
But the thing is, as I earlier mentioned, you need this transition is not just coming out of glue. This transition requires a stability, requires huge amount of budget to do that, and this like some of the countries we are talking, like for example, like Sudan, they lack this, and for them to do this transition is hard. It's not easy,
Yeah, but I think
challenging.
the problem in the end is also gonna be that if there's we are in this process of climate change in a way, temperatures are rising, and then you
Right.
have such poor countries or countries in the global south, and they cannot afford the same technology as the global north, right?
Yeah.
So even though maybe in the global north it gets warmer, people have air condition, all of that, and they're chilling their life. And then other countries, the crops are dying, and people don't get food because the farmers can't produce enough food for the people. Yeah. So I mean, the SDG 17 says it all. It's with cooperation we can only achieve that goal. Yeah. I mean, I think it's a understanding argument to say as a country from the global south, okay, we didn't pollute, but in the end, we are all on one country. So the biggest challenge here is to cooperate and put politics or anything like that on the side and say, let's stick together and let's do it. It's the same thing when the space race came between Russia and America, and they were trying to be better than the other country, and then now we have the International Space Station, and we had more cooperation, right?
Yeah.
And if it's possible there, why isn't it possible in such a big challenge? So it's a really interesting topic. I hope we can talk about it more in the next episode. So
in my opinion, before we conclude, in my opinion, I think the effect of the climate change is affecting like all countries differently. Like there is no.
It is affecting all countries.
Yeah, there is no country in fact like receives less impact due to this climate change. But I think countries today, and also like the young people, they understand. Like I'm talking particularly about like in Sudan, they understand that it's very important that an initiative should be designed to address like climate change issues and all these kind of things, and they understand that also they should be the leading on this on solving this challenge. So yeah, the debate of the argument, I think it could be valid, but in my opinion, I think there is more understanding the initiatives coming forward, and they will do better.
I hope so. I mean, I hope that that, like I said, it sounds more like it's going to be a long debate between the global south and the global north. I mean, like I said, I think even though that all the countries are affected by climate change, some people feel it more and other people, don't feel it at all because of the country they live in. you
Right.
know.
Right.
So I'm not sure if people in America are aware of the situation as much as people who are in Sudan, for example, or people where there's no food, or there are communities where lakes dried out and they can't fish anymore, and they live from
Right.
fish for decades or hundreds of years, right? So
Totally agree. Like for example, even like in industrial countries, for example, if you see there is like you have like people who live in extreme poverty, like they live in the trap on a poverty trap. Like this scenario is like it's more it's visible in all countries, and as you mentioned, that the vulnerable communities are the one will suffer the most because, for example, if you're in richer categories, you can you know how to handle the life. But the poor you are in a lot of ways being affected. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. All right, so it was great having
Good.
you, Keeso.
Thank you for having me. Really, I look forward for meeting. Yeah, soon.
Yeah, looking forward to having you for the next show. All right, guys, have a great week, have a great weekend, and see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.